Now at 9, Lincoln Park in Pittsburgh hosts an all-day 4th of July celebration for the community. Plus, Carthage residents celebrate Independence Day with a red, white, and boom event.
A record number of Americans are traveling this 4th of July despite facing massive delays and cancellations. I'm Charles Watson at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. I'll have more on that story coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Amber Jenkins. 3 people were arrested in a connection with a burglary of a Lamar business. Police in Lamar was alerted to a couple of burglaries at a business. In response, they stayed ready for another break-in, which happened early in the morning of last Thursday. When officers reached the business, they noticed 2 people leaving the building with stolen property. Authorities say those 2 men were Derek Catton of Columbus and Frank Cheney of Pittsburgh. Catton and Cheney were arrested and charged with burglary. A 3rd suspect was arrested in connection to the previous burglaries. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us with the first look at weather.
All right, thank you very much. I know a lot of folks are going to be outside enjoying the evening with the fireworks, and right now, nothing on radar, just a little bit of an anvil left over from some earlier convection up to the north and west. We do have some storms developing up in northern Kansas that's going to have an impact on our weather as we go through the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning. And let's just call it a wet Wednesday and also a cooler Thursday. We also have a chance of weekend storms coming up and a slow warming trend after that. And of course, I'll have all the details on that in your forecast when we come back in just a little bit.
Pittsburgh hosted a 4th of July celebration at Lincoln Park all day today. Visitors had a chance to join to even do a pickleball tournament, a baby contest, and even a fishing derby. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has the story.
Kinley Lake and her cousin woke up early not only to fish, but also to win the fishing derby on Pittsburgh's 4th of July celebration.
You can't go wrong with fishing at all. Yes, you might lose a fish or you might break your line, but it's all fun and games in the end.
And because of all the fun activities that the city of Pittsburgh offer in the park, some families even picked a shade, brought some chairs, tables, and a lot of food to celebrate 4th of July. Continuing her 45 years long family tradition of getting together to celebrate the 4th of July, Kelly Duffin and more than 50 family members gathered at the park.
So everybody brings covered dishes and we bring our chairs and somebody goes and picks up chicken. The kids like the kiddie land. All the adults, of course, love the car shows. And we have to go to the arts and crafts, priority 1.
After 2 weeks decorating his car, Kevin Kenningham also chose to spend the 4th of July in the park, specifically at the car show.
I figured I'd just bring it to show it off, that it brings more awareness to our freedom and what it stands for.
Visitors also took some time to reflect on the meaning of the holiday.
It's grateful for our freedom and our happiness that everybody has an equal opportunity, and it's just a fun time.
People died for that right for us to celebrate, and I think everybody should celebrate and remember it.
We're thankful to have a country that we can live in and be free, and this is the main reason for the celebration.
In Pittsburgh, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
This evening, more attractions are to come. The firework display starts at 10. The Red, White, and Boom community celebration is now underway. It's at Municipal Park in Carthage. Folks are enjoying watermelon feed, a freedom foam pit, a ninja course, and much more. Music starts later this evening. The event continues until 10 p.m.
Go swimming, eat some of the food that we made at home, and watch the fireworks and spend time with family.
Missouri Southern is hosting an Independence Day celebration. The celebration kicked off at 5:30 with various food trucks and will continue throughout the night. The event will feature performances by the mixtapes and, of course, a fireworks show. The fireworks will be set to music that attendees can tune into on 88.7 KXMS. Carl Junction also started its 4th of July celebrations this morning. The city held its annual Independence Day parade earlier today. A number of groups made their way down Main Street.
We have a lot of people dressed up very patriotically. We have people who fundraise this parade and just people showing their spirit for America.
If you're looking for fireworks in Carl Junction this evening, Bavard Golf Course is putting on a display. It's slated to start at 9:45. Fireworks stands are set up all across the 4 states to celebrate Independence Day. We stopped by one of them to take a look at their sales post-COVID pandemic. Stand workers say they made a lot of sales this year, and some products have been much more popular than others.
A lot of the novelty stuff is always popular. Everyone likes to do their parachutes, everyone likes to do their smoke bombs. There's all those popular items, that sparklers that are always a go-to every year.
If you're still looking to buy fireworks, some stands will open back up tomorrow. Today, July 4th festivities are taking place across the country. People made their way to beaches and fireworks shows to celebrate the nation's birthday. Fox Anna Kalumpos has more.
From fireworks to parades and barbecues, people across the country braved the rain and record heat to celebrate Independence Day on Tuesday.
247 years ago today, American democracy was born in this building.
In Philadelphia, crowds stood outside of Independence Hall, where our nation's founding documents were signed.
Philadelphia celebrates July 4th in a big way. Although we celebrate our nation's freedom and independence, we also know we are still in the pursuit of these principles for all our citizens.
In Washington, D.C., bands, floats, and balloons made their way down the streets of the nation's capital. Folks there sharing with Fox News Digital what the 4th means to them.
The 4th of July is kind of the day that you celebrate, American values, things like that. There's always a big celebration on, hey, this is what it means to be American.
I think honoring the veterans that, and just the country, just how people gave their lives for our freedom.
For me, it's about family, and it's about celebrating Independence Day with parades.
Mother Nature, though, forcing the delay of the famed Nathan's hot dog eating contest at Coney Island. And after a weekend of damaging storms, thousands of people are heading to Music City for one of the largest fireworks shows in the U.S. More than 250,000 people are expected to watch the Nashville Symphony play alongside the display. Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Coming up, health experts share some tips about how to protect your skin during the summer. It's officially barbecue season, but before firing up that grill, pay attention to these key food safety tips for a tasty and healthy meal. Fox Rashid Vats has more on the story.
Food safety starts before you put anything on the grill or picnic table. Kenneth King with the USDA says there are some basics to keep in mind.
The 4 steps to food safety are clean, separate, cook, and chill. So yes, the first step is clean, and this is making sure your cooking area is clean and sanitized, and to always make sure we are washing our hands with soapy water for at least 20 seconds before handling food.
When it comes to throwing meats on that barbecue, a thermometer is your best bet to determine doneness. Don't rely on color alone.
There's often times where our chicken may look like it's fully cooked, but it can still be quite raw on the inside, and that can get us sick. We want to put the food thermometer into the thickest part of the wing, breast, or thigh, and make sure it has reached a temperature of 165 degrees.
For ground beef, 160 degrees is the sweet spot.
Now, when it comes to your pork, lamb, and veal products, these need to be cooked to 160. And ham cooked to 145, and fish also cooked to 145.
Most hot dogs come fully cooked, but King says read the label to make sure. And what about those of us who set out a buffet and graze through the day? That's another hazard we need to pay attention to.
So we have at the USDA, we call the danger zone, and this is when food has been sitting out for 2 hours, beyond 2 hours, in temperatures of 40 to 140 degrees. After they've sat out for 2 hours in these temperatures, bacteria can grow inside of the food and get us sick. However, during the hot summer months, like July, when temperatures are 90 degrees and above, that 2 hour window becomes a 1 hour window.
So make sure you're keeping track and getting food back in the fridge or in a cooler, nestled under some ice within 1 hour's time.
The 4th of July is here, and experts are sharing how to properly keep your skin safe. With these heat advisories all throughout the country, learning how to keep your skin safe is important. The American Academy of Dermatology recommends using a product with a 30 or higher SPF. There are many different products options in the store.
In order to get enough protection, you should be using a palmful to cover a body in a bathing suit. And for most adults, that means about an ounce. So a 6-ounce bottle shouldn't last you all season long. You need to apply the sunscreen frequently. and that means about every 2 hours or after getting wet.
Dermatologists say to cover any part of the skin that is exposed to the sun and to apply every 2 hours or after getting wet. Sam is next with a complete look at the forecast. And a little later in sports, the Joplin Outlaws look to win their 6th game in a row as they host Nevada.
Well, folks, it was hot as a firecracker out there today with temperatures in the mid-90s as expected. Right now, a beautiful evening shaping up just outside of Seneca, Missouri, at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Lots of indigo sky today across the 4 states, and you can see some high clouds off in the distance, and that's associated with some thunderstorms that are going to start moving in our direction. But first, let's take a look at the high. 95 was what we made it up to after starting out at 67. And of course, we weren't near the records of 102 or 56, but look at the rainfall. We're about 9 inches now behind normal for the year. And the good news is we have lots of storminess on the radar across southern Nebraska and northern Kansas. And guess where that's headed? That is developing and moving into a complex that will be moving to the south in time. So overnight, don't be surprised if you hear a rumble or two of thunder with those thunderstorms. Now, earlier this evening, we had one storm over in Greenwood County, west of Yates Center, that just basically drifted off towards the south and west, and now it's just a ghost of itself, spreading a few clouds across the rest of the area. But we are going to see more thunderstorms develop later on tonight, especially up to the north and then rolling down to the south. Temperatures right now in the mid-80s, 83 in Stockton, 86 in Fort Scott, 87 right now in Parsons, same thing in Independence, appropriately named, 88 in Neodesha right now. When you factor in the dew points, tomorrow we're going to feel like it's going to be in the hundreds again, especially in Oklahoma. Check out this. Welch at 110, 110 in Veneta, 107 in Grove, and 110 in Veneta. This is what it's going to feel like. This is not the actual temperature, but it's going to feel pretty muggy tomorrow in between those showers and thunderstorms. In fact, our rain chances are going to be increasing as we go through the next 36 hours to hopefully where a lot of folks are going to get quite a bit of precipitation to help with the drought situation. Right now, we're looking at that frontal system up towards the north, and as we go through time, that first wave is going to come by, and that will be tonight and into tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we get a little bit of a break, but then we have more waves of storms coming in behind as over the next several days. And so hopefully, in the next several days, we're going to see multiple chances of showers and thunderstorms with this northwesterly flow pattern. And looking at the rainfall totals, if this verifies, this would be great, with many places getting over 2 inches, especially out towards the west where they desperately need it. Hopefully Sedan will get 3 inches of rain. Now this goes all the way to Friday, and even here in the Joplin area, we might pick up over an inch, maybe 2. Wouldn't that be nice? Unfortunately, we do have a threat of severe weather to go along with that tomorrow, so we'll keep a close eye on that for you. Be sure to download the app if you haven't done so already. We're expecting an elevated risk of high winds and heavy rain, maybe some small hail. Tornado threat is not really that great with this kind of setup, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. Temperatures tonight are going to drop down into the 70s and a few 60s with those storms mainly up towards the north. And then as we go through the day tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms across the area, cooler with highs in the upper 80s to lower 90s, and then more waves of showers and storms tomorrow night into Thursday morning with lows in the 60s. And then on Thursday afternoon, partly cloudy skies with significantly cooler temperatures, generally in the lower 80s across the area. That'll feel nice. And then as we go into Friday, notice more storminess back towards the north and west, and that will roll our way as we go into Friday. Here's the 5-day or 7-day forecast actually. Storms tonight and tomorrow, high of 91. Then as we go into Friday, 85, 88 on Saturday with more chances of thunderstorms. And then we stay right around 90 degrees for the rest of the period, which is actually kind of normal for this time of year. Thank goodness we're not seeing 100 plus.
Well, thank goodness. Well, thank you. Evergy is wanting to increase its electric rates. The company filed an application with the Kansas Cooperation Commission requesting to increase for both Evergy Kansas Central and Evergy Kansas Metro. Evergy Kansas Central includes Pittsburgh, Parsons, Fort Scott, and Independence. If approved, residential customers in those cities could see an average of an increase of more than $14. You can find out how to weigh in on the proposed increase on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up, we'll take a look at a scam that the IRS is warning about regarding tax refunds. A new scam is tricking taxpayers about their refund. The Internal Revenue Service says a letter with an IRS masthead is being sent to taxpayers, which tells them they're owed a refund. The letter tells recipients to share an image of their driver's license, as well as their phone number, social security number, and bank routing information to receive their refund. The agency says the letter shows clear signs that it's fake, such as awkward wording and a false phone number claiming to be the IRS. Millions of Americans taking advantage of the 4th of July holiday this year, with a record number traveling all across the country. And this is despite the wave of delays and cancellations. Fox News correspondent Charles Watson reports from Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta's International Airport.
More than 50 million Americans are traveling this 4th of July, breaking the record set back in 2019. AAA estimating that more than 4 million of those travelers are taking to the skies, with the TSA averaging nearly 2.7 million screenings per day. But many of those travelers have been facing massive delays and cancellations, with more than 40,000 disruptions last week.
I flew from New York, and then I was supposed to be here yesterday, but they directed my flight to Washington and booked me a hotel, and yeah, now I'm in Atlanta. Flights were delayed, flights were canceled. I mean, we sat on a plane for an hour waiting for something to happen. Eventually they just said, nope, it's canceled.
Some travelers waiting for days for new flights.
We've been to 4 different airports in 2 days due to canceled flights. It's just been hectic, left out with no answers. Baggage is lost right now, so we've been wearing the same clothes for 2 to 3 days.
Severe weather in the Northeast contributing to those delays and cancellations, but many airlines are also blaming the FAA, saying things like staffing shortages and outdated technology are only making the problems worse.
You cannot assume under the current situation, probably for the next year or so at least, that you're going to get to your destination in any timely way.
So far today, more than 1,000 flights have been delayed or canceled. At Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, Charles Watson, Fox News.
Up next, research finds which 4th of July staple is more popular based on which bun is purchased the most. This 4th of July is the Battle of the Bun that'll tell us who wins the cookout food revolution. Instacart says there are some regional trends for what Americans will celebrate with in their 4th of July cookouts. And you can tell where Americans want independence with their hamburgers or hot dogs. Instacart says 30 states, including Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, plus Washington, D.C., buy hot dogs and buns the most. But states like Florida, Louisiana, Alaska, and Oregon like their burgers the most. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, we'll introduce you to one of the newest members of the KOAM family, Sports Director John Dales. Plus, we'll hear the story of the oldest living survivor of the Tulsa Race Massacre. We have some new faces on KOAM this summer. You've seen our new sports director, John Dales, on air since the beginning of June. KOAM's Dial Quick gives us a chance to get to know him a little better.
I mean, usually I come in here, put my headphones on, throw a hat on, and kind of just be a fly on the wall, keep to myself.
Keeping a low profile might work in the gym, but not behind a sports desk.
Hey, welcome into sports. I'm John Dales. Missouri
The recent graduate from Syracuse jumped right into the spotlight as KOAM sports director. He grew up in a Chicago suburb with a couple of competitive brothers and is the only one in his family who didn't pursue a career in finance.
My parents have always been super supportive of it. They are my biggest fans for sure. So they love it. Honestly, sometimes I think they love it more than I do.
It took a couple of months following graduation to land his first job. Stressful was the word he used to describe the wait.
More disappointing and a little discouraging, when I would hear people that were doing the same thing as me for 4 years, that, oh, they landed the job here or there. But I think that's one of the big parts too, is not necessarily comparing yourself to other people, being confident in who you are and knowing what you bring to the table. So that was part of it, but it was a little bit discouraging, I guess, for a little, seeing other people get jobs.
John Dales joins us now, one of the area's best college baseball. His confidence and timing came together. KOAM was looking for someone to fill Jacob Leonard's position and meet some high expectations.
I literally had people tell me, they're like, you have big shoes to fill. Like, we love Jacob and he was great at this job. So I definitely feel that. But it's good too to, have a high standard to live up to. As his coach, what's been, I guess, the most impressive part of what he's done?
John's been living up to that standard in his short time here. Pick any sports metaphor, doing the heavy lifting, swinging for the fences, working to give fans what they came to see.
I think what I'm most excited about is like covering sports in the area, the passion that people have for local sports. I can tell, like even just being here for a month, like I can tell it's different here.
As you'd expect, coming from Chicago, he has different team loyalties than most around here.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals thing especially is different just because I grew up and the Cubs were not only my number one baseball team, but my number one team growing up I was a huge Cubs fan. So I hated the Cardinals. And then, coming here and having that.
But don't hold that against him. Notice he used the past tense, and he very much appreciates the sports fans in his new home.
I really like the people here. It's been people have been asking me like, oh, is it much of a culture change? I'm like, yeah, like people are just genuinely friendlier here than, Chicago or New York. So I like that aspect of it.
And he'll be meeting a lot more people as he covers sporting events across the 4 states.
When I got this job, Jacob Leonard, my predecessor, told me he's like, one of the best things I can tell you to do is to be visible out in the community. So I've really tried to do that a lot.
Except when he's in the gym, where he'll continue to keep a low profile.
On behalf of everyone here at KOAM, we're glad John is a part of the team. And to follow John on social media, you can just search John Dales KOAM Sports on Facebook. The oldest living survivor of the Tulsa Race Massacre is sharing her story. In a memoir entitled Don't Burn My Story, Viola Fletcher writes about the 1921 tragedy. At 109 years old, Fletcher remembers when a white mob ran through Tulsa's Greenwood district, killing hundreds of people and destroying homes. Fletcher was only 7 years old when it happened. She says it was something people didn't talk about as she grew up. She believes you're never too old to share your story. An outbreak of violence in a pair of major U.S. cities. In Fort Worth, Texas, and in Philadelphia, at least 8 people were killed in a pair of tragic incidents, and even more were wounded. Fox News senior correspondent Mike Tobin has the details.
Philadelphia first responders get credit for saving the injured as bullets flew, 5 were killed, and a gunman rampaged through the city of brotherly love.
I want to thank Commissioner Outlaw and the police department for their response to this terrible, tragic incident. Police responded immediately and courageously.
Police say he randomly fired at occupied cars and people on the street. His first victim retreated to a house and died. Others remained on the street dead or wounded. Ultimately, the gunman surrendered to police. His identity and formal charges won't be released until the courts are open on Wednesday, but the premeditation of the rampage is evident.
The man who did this is in custody. The man who did this will be facing multiple counts of murder.
Fort Worth, Texas, as holiday celebrations wound down, shots rang out. 3 people are dead, another 8 recovering from injuries. Police have suggested the motive could be anything from a domestic problem to a gang dispute, but they know it created another scene of panic and bloodshed.
A lot of vehicle traffic, a lot of foot traffic. As you can tell, still fireworks were being shot off. Lots of people just trying to flee the area from the multiple gunshots.
And it all comes a day after a mass shooting in Baltimore left 2 dead and 28 injured. Like Fort Worth, people had gathered for a party, this one unpermitted. Suddenly, shots rang out. The mayor says it's remarkable because so many people shot video of young men with guns.
There were grown adults filming young people with guns who said nothing, who did nothing, who didn't say to the police, hey, I know this teenager's out here at this event with a gun, and we have to have a sense of responsibility to our own community.
Back to Philadelphia, police detained a second man for firing back at the gunman. District Attorney Larry Krasner said he fired lawfully in self-defense and was released. In Chicago, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
A bit later, we'll take a look at a poll that states why many Americans are not celebrating Independence Day.
Well, we had another warm day across the 4 states with temperatures in the mid-90s, but not too bad as far as conditions go. It could be worse this time of year. Right now, we're looking at a beautiful sky at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort down in Seneca, Missouri. You can see Venus there in the background and just a few high, thin cirrus clouds. We do have some storms developing on radar, and I'll show you that in a moment. But first, we made it up to 95 today after starting out at 67. The records are 102 and 56 back on this date, and 9 inches below on the rainfall so far for this year. But we do have storms on radar, and that's good. Look at how it's lighting up nature's fireworks up to the north in northern Kansas and southern Nebraska. And there's a big push to move this southward straight towards us. And so tonight and in the overnight hours, we're going to hear rumbling of thunder with those thunderstorms rolling in from the north and west, generating quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity. Earlier, we had one cell in Greenwood County. That kind of drifted off towards the south and west and died. But now we're waiting for another storm rounds up towards the north. Right now we're looking at temperatures in the mid-80s, 84 in Stockton, 83 in Iola, 88 right now in Oswego, and Independence. It's currently 85 degrees. And when you factor in the dew point tomorrow with the temperatures, we're going to be seeing heat indexes well over 100 degrees again, especially in Oklahoma with 110 at Nowata, 110 in Welch, same thing in Veneta. So a very hot day shaping up for tomorrow with scattered showers and thunderstorms. In fact, our rain chances are going to dramatically increase as we go over the next 36 hours in our region. And that's because of a storm system that's up towards the north. And as we go in time, this is going to become what we call a northwest flow pattern. And that allows pieces of energy to roll off the plains down into our area, mainly in the overnight hours and in the early morning. And that's what we're going to see for the next several days. And if that holds true, we could put a significant dent in the drought situation, especially for our friends out towards the west, where rainfall amounts could approach 3 inches in places like Sedan. They would certainly welcome that. About the same in Bartlesville. Everyone should get around an inch or so by the time we go into Friday evening if this verifies. Hopefully it will, because we desperately need the rainfall. What we don't need is severe weather, and that is a risk for tomorrow, stretching from Chicago all across our entire area. Tornado risk is slight, very low in fact. Large hail is possible, and high winds and heavy rain seems to be the primary threats with the storms. Tonight we're going to see lows in the 70s with scattered showers and storms moving in from the north. And then as we go through the day, partly cloudy with scattered showers and storms once again, highs in the upper 80s and lower 90s. And then as we go into Wednesday night into Thursday morning, more scattered showers and storms with lows in the 60s. And then Thursday afternoon, it'll be partly cloudy with highs in the lower 80s. So it's going to feel significantly better, especially with drier air in place. Then another round of storms starts to come in as we go into Friday. Over the next 7 days, we have several chances of showers and storms beginning tonight and tomorrow. Then cooler on Thursday with a high of only 83. We'll take that any day. And then as we go into Saturday, more storms possible. And then that continues right on into next week. So a little bit of an unsettled pattern, but at least temperatures will be normal, and we have multiple chances of getting some rainfall.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you. The Earth is getting hotter than it's ever been, at least as far as we know. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration reports the average temperature on Earth Monday was the warmest on record. The average global air temperature, 2 meters above the surface, was 62.62 degrees. That beats the previous record of 62.46, reached both last July and in August of 2016. Researchers think the heat is due to a combination of climate change and El Nino. Coming up in sports, the Cardinals and the Royals both try to bounce back from losses last night. Plus, the Outlaws look to extend their winning streak to 6 games. John Dells has those highlights and more after the break.
Independence Day in the 4 states means a lot of things. Parades, cookouts, fireworks at night, and of course, baseball. This afternoon, the Joplin Outlaws continue the tradition of baseball on the 4th when they take the field against the Nevada Griffins for the 2nd time in as many days. Outlaws and Griffins ready to do it again after meeting last night. Starting at 2 o'clock today and wearing the special Stars and Stripes jerseys for the 4th. We start in the bottom of the 1st when Will Kelly skies one with 2 men on. Seems like an easy pop fly, but the sun causes all sorts of problems for the Nevada fielders. That drops down and brings in 2 runs, so the Outlaws take an early 3-0 lead. In the bottom of the second, Garrett Chun tries to add to that. He sends one down the line and left. It goes foul, but Griffin's outfielder Clay Palin from Missouri Baptist tracks it all the way, makes a great catch right against the fence. To the top of the third, Griffins get one back with this single into center field by Carter Gallagher. That makes it a 3-2 ball game. We go ahead to the bottom of the third, though. The Outlaws still up one. Kelly at the plate. Looks like we've seen this exact play before. But Ben Lloyd, able to fight the sun, makes the catch and retires the side, but back on the hill, Steen Lane locked in for the rest of this one. He gets the strikeout in the top of the fourth. He gets the win. Outlaws offense comes to life late, and they run away with it, extending their winning streak to 6. Baseball not just being played locally, though. All 30 Major League teams in action today. Cardinals and Royals both on the road, and each of them trying to bounce back from a loss yesterday. Starting with the Cardinals, who are down in Miami. Adam Wainwright, the starting pitcher, hoping for a better start than last time when he got shelled by Houston, but bad start here. Jesus Sanchez takes Wainwright deep to center and out for a 3-run blast. His 8th of the season puts Miami up 3-0. Into the third, same score up until Garrett Cooper gets into one off Wainwright. That one gets out as well for a solo shot. Puts the Marlins up 4-0. They're up 5-0 with the bases juiced when JoJo Romero comes in for Wainwright. Same result, though, even with the new pitcher. That's a 2 RBI single to make it 7-0. That's the score in the 7th inning as well when Dane Myers gets a line shot base hit. Probably haven't heard that name because it's his first major league hit. A run's going to score. Marlins take an 8-0 lead at that point. Miami would win big. Final score 15-2. Cards try to bounce back tomorrow. Royals also playing the Twins. We start in the 3rd inning of that one. Twins up 1-0 with runners on 2nd and 3rd when Byron Buxton lines one down the line, but Nicky Lopez makes an incredible diving catch. So nice, you got to look at it again. That kept a couple of runs off the board. However, it would be a rough day for Zach Greinke because as he gets a pitch off to Max Kepler, that one would not stay in the yard. 3-run homer, his 12th of the year, and it put the Twins up 4-0 at that point. They really didn't look back. Bobby Witt Jr. tries to help his team out and does so right here by taking Kenta Maeda deep. That's a home run for him, his 13th of the season. Royals still down 4-2 at that point, though. Into the 5th, same score when Greinke really runs into trouble. First, Donovan Solano cranks one down the line and right and out for a home run. Very next pitch, Buxton again, this time goes yard for a solo shot. Twins go back-to-back in the 5th. They'd win it 9-3. That's all for sports. We're back with more news after this.